Welcome to the show. Let's see what has been happening in the wrestling world. Welcome to the show, where comedy meets wrestling by fans for fans. The Two Counts, always the best guests in Midwest. The Two Counts, wait time guaranteed because we're the best of the best. Meet Phoenix and JR, Top Shelf Tommy, we're about to start. Welcome to the Two Counts. It's time to dig deep into the wrestling world. Welcome to the Two Counts, where comedy meets wrestling by fans for fans. The Two Counts.
The Two Count. The Two Count. Where comedy meets wrestling. Please comment, share, like, and start a hype train for God's sakes. And now, here are the hosts of The Two Count. Comedian John Russell, wrestling broadcaster Big Ace, and everybody's favorite heel, Top Shelf Tommy.
What a crappy night. I didn't even take that off of there. Can you tell? Guess who's speaking? Of course, it's me. There it is. Yay. Happy Tuesday,
good old
everybody.
JR.
Yeah, everybody that's here. Gosh, Happy New Year to you all. Snow.
If you're living in Iowa or Minnesota, fuck it all outside.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't think it's as bad down in Iowa as it is here.
We don't have any snow right now. It's just everything's covered in ice.
Well, that's worse than snow.
It is. The vast majority of it is worse than snow.
The thing about it is, if you live out in the country, it's no matter what happens, you're in a rough spot because they don't always clear everything up. If you live in the metropolitan area, like Tom and I do up here in the Twin Cities, the only time it's really bad is while it's actually snowing. Because they do a really good job of cleaning stuff up. So the next day it's like, cool. But while it's snowing, it sucks ass. And down in Rochester, my experience has been, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Ace, if it's snowing, it's not good, and it takes them a while to clean it up. It's not nearly as quick as in the Twin Cities.
Yeah, just 52. Most of the city roads here are still shitty, even after they've gone through just super bumpy and just covered. Like, it's just. And
you got ice, so. And I
mean, it literally, like, I don't know. Has it been snowing all day up there for you guys?
Yeah, pretty much. And now it's started to sort of freezing rain and sleet a little bit. So
we were legit getting just rain showers today. We had no snow today. It was all.
You go out on the snow. There's a nice crunchy layer on top.
Yeah, well, we got a little bit of snow last night, but like we really just got all the frickin' rain.
Yeah.
So everything's just an ice rink.
Well, Happy New Year to you guys. Woo-hoo. I hope the new year treated you well coming in. I don't know if you did anything. We had Poulos, Randy and Mark Poulos. For those of you that know, Randy and Carlo and I had a full house up in Alexandria, which was awesome. And we were done by 10:30. And the hotel is just right across the parking lot. So I was in bed watching Miley Cyrus and Dolly Parton at 11 o'clock.
JR.
Or before,
asleep by 11:05.
Before, because I did
right after he worked jacked off watching that.
Well, no, I mean, you can't. It's no. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Dolly Parton, kind of. I mean, she's super talented, and when she was younger, but now she's not. So she kind of. I mean, I'm not sure if she has had work done. but she kind of looks like that. She kind of looks like that. I don't mean downstairs. I mean her face. She kind of looks like she has this look of a jack-o'-lantern, kind of like smiling at you. And I just never have been Miley Cyrus. She's not anything special to me. So, but I would rather watch that than whatever the fuck else was on.
Seacrest.
I don't think I've actually seen the ball drop on TV in like 6 years.
And it's only at 11 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, that is the thing, right? It's 11 o'clock here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird because in Alexandria, they have a school called North Star, which is kind of like Shattuck St. Mary's here, and it's kind of a hockey school, right? And they have this big hockey facility. And so aside from New Year's Eve, where most of the people that were there were from town, they had all of these hockey kids that were staying at the Hampton Inn because then they had a hockey tournament over New Year's. And so, I mean, they were playing hockey on New Year's Day I went down there to get breakfast and the kid says, "Oh, I thought you said we were going to have breakfast at 6:45." So anyway, Happy New Year, Tina.
What?
Hope it all went well. You know how kids are. I mean, they're,
Guess you had to be there for that one.
I mean, it's not fun just relating shit. It's not. I'm not claiming that any of it's going to be funny. HCW, how are you? Good to see you. Happy New Year.
HCW says real men play hockey. Real men wrestle. Come on, man.
Love hockey.
I'll tell you what. I mean, out of all sports, if you were going to say, all right, I want to see a fight, I would love to see a fight between a wrestler, like an amateur wrestler, well, a pro wrestler too. They work out like crazy, but an amateur wrestler and a hockey player, because there are some hockey play. Now, I know that there are some wrestlers that I've known. One of the guys I went to high school with was NCAA runner-up at his weight class back, and I don't remember what the hell. Bob Hallman was his name, from West Des Moines Dowling. And amateur wrestlers have a different mindset. But my brother-in-law had a tryout lined up with the Islanders, and he just was like, his hands were the strongest hands of anyone that I've ever met. So I think I think out of all professional sports, and I don't know which would be one or two, but I think wrestlers would be first, and then hockey players second for me. How you doing there, Shanky?
Top Shanky.
Good to see you, buddy. Happy New Year.
You gotta be tough to play
Top
hockey.
shelf Shank over here.
Fuck
yeah, dude.
Play hockey.
Well, I'll say this for a guy who, I went to Elk River, where at the time, I think my junior year, the hockey team won the state championship, and the wrestling team finished second to Apple Valley that year.
Ooh.
So I know a little bit about both these sports, and you're right. Amateur wrestling, they're in a different mindset, because I think every single one of those kids is willing to die before the age of 18 because of how they cut weight and how they train. And they're not even 2 days. Like most of the time, it's like 3 days.
It's the only thing you could do as a teenager where you can like be told to like not eat and starve yourself, and it's okay though.
Yeah,
gotta make weight. I had friends that would do that. They wouldn't eat that day. They'd go running in our pool.
Don't even drink water that day.
Yep.
And then they're in the like
make weight tomorrow. Come make weight for them, but you'll be too exhausted to wrestle tomorrow, bro. Yes,
the sauna suits with the fucking bikes, and then turning on the showers in the locker room and just running through there and stuff too. Like, holy jeez, man! Like,
they'd run laps in our pool, like around the pool, because it was so humid in that room.
Yep. Fucking again, a different mindset. Even hockey players, though, to be real honest with you, it's a totally different mindset because when you got to have certain time for your ice time, and there's so many teams that are trying to get that ice time that you have to be there for it. I mean, I played basketball. Every school has a gym. You can go play basketball fucking wherever. So it's not like that's a big deal. Hell, most churches have gyms nowadays. So it's not that big a deal. You know, we aren't the same kind of breed as those guys, but I mean, I threw some hands a couple times with some guys from games, but that's also because some of them are fucking morons and don't really know how to play the game of basketball. But that happens with a lot of sports too.
It's good logic right there, HCW.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So when you play basketball and stuff, when you're practicing, did you did you have a reasonable time or did you have an oddball time?
The only time basketball was ever really bad was once you got into sophomore ball. So like when most of the guys were already driving or can get there on their own or know somebody else on the team that lives close enough. So after the tryouts, which generally you'll have like 2 pre-school tryout days, and then the rest is basically after school, and then you'll go in and the first 2 weeks right afterwards, because basically tryouts were always like week of Thanksgiving, so you had to get as many tryout days in as possible leading up to Thanksgiving, and then you have at least one on that Friday, and then you like coming back from Thanksgiving, you have 2 weeks straight of just getting into game shape and all that sort of shit. So it's morning practice and after school practice, and a lot of times they have a captain's practice, which is just basically a scrimmage afterwards.
Man, that's crazy. I've never heard of 2-a-day basketball practice. I've heard of 2-a-day football practice, but never basketball.
Yeah, only to start the season, because you got to try and everybody has to get ready for basically the holiday tournaments where you can just pack in like 7 games in 5 days. HCW did play center until I was done playing basketball pretty much my freshman year. Just too many injuries kind of piled up too quickly. Sophomore year didn't play. I was a post player though. Still am really. I'm only 6'2", but I'll post up on anybody. These motherfuckers 7-footers, go fuck yourself. I got this shit. Post up, get a hook shot in, still fucking balling over here.
You had a hook shot?
Oh, dude, man, fucking.
Were you from the 50s?
Yeah, man. It's the best fucking move, man. Like, and I again, when I grew up, man, I was in the age of like solid centers, man. Like you had Dave Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, Shaquille O'Neal, Dikembe Mutombo, Alonzo Mourning, like fuck, who else? Even Robert Parrish was still around. Bill and Beer. I mean, you had legit centers across the NBA at that time, and hell, even like legit power forwards like Malone and Robinson and Rodman and all that sort of shit. So there's only a few things I did. I rebound, I blocked shots, and I put the ball back in the hoop on layups or short shots, and the hook shot was one of them. So yeah, man.
You didn't have an outside shot?
Oh, I could hit from like mid-range and stuff like that, and I could shoot threes, but at the time, no one lived and died by the three-pointer like they do nowadays. If we want to go into that fucking rant that I have, just ready to go, this fucking modern game, man. You don't even need to be a good player. You just need to like be able, find range from the 3-point line.
You gotta know how to fight now, apparently, to play basketball too, since that's all they do in the NBA. It seems like.
Well, they all fucking bicker. They're all like, that's the whole thing. They're all a bunch of bitches, if you really ask me. It's a bunch of guys who were fucking sheltered until they got to high school. Then they were focused in on only playing basketball. And then when they got to college for the 1 year, they don't have to do anything other than fucking play basketball. And then they go to the NBA, and that's all they had to do. But then they still find ways to get into fucking trouble.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well. So things are Danny played basketball, backup center, second tallest kid. You're like me, Dan. I mean, back then, and you're pretty tall as I recall from meeting you. I'm sure that you've shrunk like I have. But back in the olden days, when I was tall, I looked over everybody, but and I was 6'4", 6'5" then, and that was pretty. People that were taller than that, there were not that many, but I think I've shown you guys the picture. Both of my kids are bigger than me by at least 2 inches. One by maybe 4. And people have gotten a lot taller. So it's kind of an interesting thing. I'll tell you, I'm just trying to, obviously, the football game last night is on a lot of people's minds, and
that's crazy.
It's so crazy because nobody knows really what caused it. They've kind of guessed.
What is the guess? Is it from the impact, or was it just straight cardiac arrest? Just
the guess is this: that if there is a perfect timing to be hit in your chest when your heart is, and it has to be absolute perfect timing, and it has to be enough force, it'll stop your heart.
So this is like legit a freak accident.
Absolutely it is. I was listening today to the radio as I was driving around, and they were talking about there was a 14-year-old kid that was in his backyard laying on the ground, throwing a ball up and catching it, and he missed it, hit him in the chest, and he died because it's exactly this kind of thing. It was just the stupid, freaky right time.
It just looks so like you could see like it looked like he said something after the tackle, and then
it looked like a fairly normal tackle compared to a lot of the vicious hits that you see, and he hopped up and then fell right back down. And that, I think, was the part that was sort of the scariest.
And from what I've been reading today is apparently the Cincinnati coach went over to the Bills coach and basically just told him, we shouldn't be doing this. This 5-minute warm up to get back in. He basically just went over and said, it's probably not right playing. And I saw even some people talking about it today as far as over the edge with Owen Hart basically doing the exact opposite thing, which basically is the right thing, where you're distraught, you're mentally not prepared to come back and then play and do all the stuff that you need to do at a high level.
Yeah.
And it was a close game. It was only the first quarter, but honestly, both of those teams are going to make the playoffs. It's not like this game was going to matter much past maybe seeding. So, I don't know if they're going to pick it up tomorrow or whatever, but
it sounds like they haven't even talked about it. Like they might just let this game.
I think they're just going to, honestly, as you said, they're both in the playoffs. It might make a little difference, but I think they're both going to just forgo it. I don't see how they can, or why they would.
That's just rough when you see the sideline during that, and it's like you can't expect anybody to do their job.
No.
After that, like those guys, you have a personal connection with your teammates. You know what I mean? You spend so much time and effort, and you're all working towards this common goal, and there is a brotherhood in those locker rooms. So you can't expect any of those guys to like. There's just no way. There's no way. The faces on those poor guys. Did you see the video of Diggs just like walking into the hospital just by himself?
Yeah.
Yeah. There were several Buffalo players that actually stayed behind today. Even
it just looks so. It's just so sad that like it's good that they made this call, but and then brings up all the other shit though. Like what has NFL been making the right calls in these situations? Are they doing all they really can to protect their players? There's gonna be a lot of conversation now because of what happened in Miami this year. That poor guy got popped 3 times this season. Probably shouldn't have gotten past the first one.
Yeah, Tua shouldn't have been allowed to come back, I think, after that first one, because apparently he didn't enter concussion protocol after that first one, because when he basically fell back over and was incapacitated after the next week's hit, and then that's when he entered protocol. I'm like, that's fucking stupid. But also then it goes back to even this last weekend of games in college. The Michigan player at the end of the game against TCU takes that hit, the base of the neck, and then they don't call targeting, which it was not intentional. That's not the issue here. But the way that kid got hit at the base of the neck, like a disc could have been blown, and like that happened to my mom. She was literally in a car accident. One of the discs in her neck blew. It literally wrapped around a major nerve going into her arm and basically paralyzed her arm for the rest of her life. So there's that kind of thing. It could have ruptured a vertebrae. It could have paralyzed the kid. It could have left him in a concussion, or, just completely even incapacity or possibly even dead. So like some of these sports, man, like the more we even watch wrestling and stuff like that too, like some of the things that these guys are all doing, man, like, and I was literally before I got on, I was eating dinner real quick. And then I was watching a Cultaholic video about like 10 guys who should not have been allowed to wrestle, like through injury or should have stopped the match. Like they had the Vader with the eye coming out. They had Taker where he was basically burnt to a crisp and still had to sit in the elimination chamber pod.
What are you talking about? That wasn't just mustard on his face? That just wasn't mustard on his face?
Yeah, well, and then they had like 2 back-to-back Kurt Angle ones. One was the WrestleMania one against Brock Lesnar because his neck was already messed up. And then it was like SummerSlam 2001 where it's like that 4-way title match. And he came back after being completely knocked out. And he finished the match, even though he looked like absolute shit. I mean, that's another thing, man. Like, we are, and you even see like how like Chris Benoit ended up playing out, right, with CT and stuff like that, man. Like, some of this stuff is real scary when you start talking about the long-term effects of it.
Again, everybody should read the book Ring of Hell about Benoit. It's fascinating. Reading about everything about him leading up to that, as far as his training, breaking into wrestling, because it explains a lot when it gets to where he does the murders. But like, I mean, even recent though, Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson in AEW, but when he was in WWE, when he had his program with the Wyatts, where he was like a Wyatt member, and then he turns on him, but he does it when he like unzipped the jumpsuit on the top of the cage. He was saying that he doesn't have any memory of that shit. He doesn't remember any of that because he was knocked out before it happened.
Yep.
Like, it's. I mean, I don't mean to turn this show into. We love this, but you guys, you gotta be safe. And that Don West passing as well. That was sad.
Yeah. Don West.
A couple different things. Yeah.
Don West was an interesting character.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's get into it.
I'll be honest with you. I know a lot of people liked him. There was just something. I was not a fan of his of his shtick. I just wasn't. And I know he worked in correct me if I'm wrong, but he worked in WCW and Impact and had a big influence on what happened, but I just was never a huge fan of his.
Well, I'll say it this way. So I like Don West. I always liked his because he was supposed to be the color commentary on that team, Mike Tenay. But Mike Tenay has too much energy, and he's coming from like when he was in WCW at the end there, he was kind of their almost like a rules guy, right? Like the modern NFL booth has now. They'll throw back the studio for a rules analyst, right? That was what Mike Tenay was. He was like the stat guy. He was the rules guy. He, he just interjected here and there, right? And some of those booths with WCW towards the end there were like Shivani and Scott Hudson and Mike Tenay. I mean, that's just too many loud chattering voices. And Tenay, to me, sucks. I fucking hate that dude. His voice is fucking annoying. He's annoying. And that's why I like Don West is because, and Don West, in my mind, was a guy who has been around the business, but he isn't annoying about knowing some of the people in the business or where he's been. And, but also too, like he was willing to go way over the top, kind of like almost like a Joey Styles in a lot of ways, where if I don't think he could have done it all by himself, but some of the energy and some of the, like the shocking moments, if you will, he handled them very well. Like I remember again, that Ultimate X match with Joe and AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels. If Don West wasn't part of that call, man, it would still been a great match, but like, I think in my mind that helps put it over the top with some of his just reactions to some of those moves and some of the things that they got into.
Yeah. Zach's got a Don West story here.
Mystery brown bags.
But it was the same ones in each bag, right? Right, Zach?
That's very funny. See, and that was the thing too. If you watch TNA back when they were on like the Fox Sports, like doing like a Friday afternoon, and then when they first got their Spike TV deal, he was always plugging the website and the merch deals and stuff like that too. I mean, he was a home shopping network guy, I think too. So, but I mean, that's why I, honestly, like, he's a legend in the way like a Shivani will be, right? Like, you know him from at least one promotion. The guy was talented, but you don't put him probably in that upper echelon.
You don't put
like
him in the top 10.
like a Monsoon or Bobby the Brain or anything like that. So
yeah.
I think we saw it.
Adequate.
Yeah, and Shank said it too. Like, Don West was greater than Jerry Lawler. I actually would probably say that's pretty close. I would say greater than or equal to, for sure. I think Lawler's had moments where he's a good commentator, but I think he's had his moments where it just went way too fucking far.
Here's the thing with Lawler. Just, in my mind, he's been there for a lot of historic calls, but in my mind, long-term memory, when I think of Jerry Lawler, I think of two things. I think, number one, of him with Andy Kaufman, which I absolutely loved. And number two, I think of him as a clown yelling puppies. So for me, Lawler is this kind of, there was a section when he was a wrestler that he was pretty awesome. And then the section where he's a commentator, where he just became this kind of caricature of himself.
Well, I think he was more comic relief on those booths with JR.
Definitely.
And that's, when you really think about it too, if Don West was a WWF or WWE guy, we're probably talking about him a little bit differently, right? Because they probably would have paired him up with a guy like,
probably true.
If they probably paired him up with Michael Cole and say they were the first team on SmackDown or whatever, it's probably a different conversation right now.
Yeah.
Or if he really had been on air talent with WCW, even at the end there, again, it's a different talk, but he was a TNA guy when TNA was struggling to really get their foot. I mean, they're probably third or fourth now, depending on how you look at it, like promotions in the United States. But, they did have some big moments, and he was part of some of those calls when they were really getting, that foothold, especially with Spike TV. And I think he left when Russo came in, which fucking everybody should do. So comes in your promotion, just fucking leave.
Just implode.
Yeah, Don's probably right. I think Don West really did help save TNA, or at least get them to a point. And I think if it wasn't for Dixie Carter kind of running that company into the ground, along with Hogan and Bischoff and Russo and all those fucking mistakes, like it could have been a different thing. And I think, again, if TNA just had more success where they maybe actually would have pushed that Monday Night War, or been able to actually last more than one fucking week against WWE, maybe it's, again, a different conversation right now with Don West. But he seemed like a hell of a dude. I wish I would have been able to meet him, because, like I said, I always had fun listening to him and stuff. So, RIP Don West, man.
Yeah. All right. Another thing, and I don't. I know Ace hasn't seen this, but we talked about it, and we didn't talk about it with you because we just mentioned it before the show, Tom. So did you happen to watch Ricochet clock Walter or Gunther in the head with the chair?
I did not know. Okay.
So here's the deal. It happened. They broke away from it, but man, you could hear it. So you can go back and watch that. My son, who is of course I guess my show prep artist, I don't know, treasure hunter, he found a fan shot view of this from a different angle, and I'm just going to pop her up here real quick. I think the audio should just go ahead and play. Well, anyway,
play that again one more time.
All right.
So did he?
Yeah, that's
I mean, that's another one though. That
It's
seems
a
like
freak.
it's another freak accident.
Yeah, it's not like he did it on purpose.
No,
Clearly,
and it even looks like his head's not there and it's his hand. Like
Yeah.
you've seen that. You see that every Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite. You see that same exact thing happen. That was
the same move. The oh, I'm going to get you. And maybe let's be honest. Maybe it's on Gunther. He didn't get out of the way quick enough.
Oh, and I also saw AJ Styles got hurt at a house show recently.
Yeah,
that was true. Or not.
It's I don't know. It makes me go back to that match between Rock and Foley, getting clocked in the head 10 times and in front of his little kids. And now that's a different thing, obviously. And they try to, but maybe this chair business, I don't know. I mean, it's getting more difficult when people get injured to justify this because broken ankle. Well, does it what does it serve? I mean, it's not like this stuff draws money the way it used to. You know what I mean? Because now it's commonplace.
Well, that's just it. There's got to be a time and place for it, not just every fucking week. But that also comes back to storytelling.
Yeah.
So it's just bad timing too, though, because we're right at that. Like, we're just a few weeks out from being on the road to Mania finally. Yeah. So that's a bummer for all those guys, for AJ's and Gunther. So I gotta ask, because I really haven't been paying much attention to it. So I know Wrestle Kingdom is this week, tomorrow. So Sasha's wrestling? Like, she's in a match, right? Like, that's the whole deal? Or no one knows? She's just gonna be there. They're bringing her. Like, she's coming with New Japan, or right?
It sounds like the partnership between New Japan and Stardom. So I don't know if that's the plan, is to have Stardom matches again this year, because I think they are running again 2 days for Wrestle Kingdom this year. I'm not quite sure, but I don't know. Japan, man, that's a fucking place to be right now, though. I mean, like, Pro Wrestling Noah had Shinsuke Nakamura,
and that Omega and
Ospreay
match is going to be
and then
an amazing match. So, but the only reason I asked that is because I just read something saying that Naomi's over there as well, and that Bayley's going over there to support Sasha. It's been said that like Sasha's a no-go for WWE. She's not coming back after this. Like, they're done. They've parted ways. Do you guys care if she ends up at AEW?
I don't. I mean,
care if Naomi, like, because to this point, those two could never come back to wrestling, and I just honestly would be like, whatever, because they've just been gone for so long that, and knowing that half of it had to do with how they were being booked and all this, and I've never liked Naomi either, so I mean, like, her going away, that's great, that's good news for me. But I mean, do you also think that maybe Sasha got a little bit of a bigger head?
Oh, I think she definitely did, and I think her success on Mandalorian certainly lets her know. See, that's one of the things. It's like the same thing with Mandy Rose. It's like, okay, now here's something that says I don't really need this. And
it's funny. Booker T's like, well, if she's living that fast life, $1 million ain't gonna. And it's like, have you seen what she looks like there, Booker T? She'll be fine. She'll be fine. Booker T has the weirdest comments on certain people. It's hilarious.
It's funny because I think with Booker T, sometimes he's
a very WWE guy. He's a
very WWE guy, but he's also, it seems like he's a bit jealous sometimes.
Yeah.
And if it's because he is supportive, but then like there's these sort of backhanded compliments, and it seems like he's jealous.
Booker T's gels for show.
Well, also because I mean, he still has his promotion down in Houston. He's doing the commentary here and there, like the pre-show stuff for pay-per-views. But he's just not the guy. I mean, honestly, I think he misses the ring. I think he misses being in there and being the center of attention. So I think he's going to throw shade at everybody, especially women. It seems like right now that he's going to be apparently just wanting to fucking talk shit about women making money outside of the business, even if they were known for the business. Like, there's no reason to fucking be pissed off about that shit, man. Like, you know, prime example, right? Like, JR and I are comedians, and being part of this show and some of the stuff we've got as far as opportunities with working with the Iowa promotions for sure, like doing some stuff here and there, like, that's cool. That's bonus stuff. But there's no one in comedy who's going to be throwing shade over us.
Yeah.
Work kind of capacity, because this is not what they think is entertainment anyways. Right. So for us, it's still fun. And it's a byproduct of doing the show and some of the other things, and Ace's a good connection and stuff. But like, I don't know why Booker T thinks that people can't have shit outside of wrestling. And all of a sudden, like, maybe he just needs to go fuck back to jail or something like that. I don't know.
Well, think about it though. Think about it. I mean, you don't see him throwing any shit at Rock or Cena, and they're and and they were also.
Well, you know why I play? That's just because I'm trying to make it in one of their movies. You know,
well, even Stone Cold's done movies. Fucking Roman Reigns was in that last Rock one.
It does seem to. You know what? It does seem to just be the women.
I mean, I don't want to sound like Booker T sexist,
but then they show him crying when his girl won the title from Mandy Rhodes because that changed plan, and he's like crying at the announcement. It's like, get it. All right, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. What do you guys think about Aldis, especially you, JR? What do you think? Aldis is a free agent.
So, those of you that have been watching for a long time know that I was a huge fan of Nick Aldis, and he and Billy Corgan and a lot of the other guys that you now see in other promotions, LA Knight, Ricky Starks, Thunder Rosa, they put the old NWA Power Show on the map, and I absolutely loved that show. That was nostalgia at its finest with current talent, and I absolutely loved it. And Nick Aldis, in my mind, during that run where they did the 10 Pounds of Gold documentary, and he wrestled Cody at was it the first All In? He reminded me very, very much of Nick Bockwinkel and Ric Flair in those classic gentleman heels. You know what I'm saying? And I absolutely loved it. Now, I don't know what the hell's going on with him with NWA. Clearly there was all sorts of he either got upset by what Corgan wanted to do with the title or whatever. I don't know. But I mean, if he shows up somewhere, I mean, I don't know. I just think to myself, if he shows up in AEW, is it going to make any difference to me? No, because he's not going to be able to play that same character that I like. You know what I'm saying? If he shows up in WWE, same thing. I mean, they may let him do something along those lines. But the other thing is that the word is that he's apparently, whatever happened between him and Billy Corgan, it now makes it sound like he was hard to work with. And that's a overused phrase in wrestling. But I just think, like, if you got, I mean, Tom just talked about comedy a minute ago. One of the things I know from my own experience in working with different bookers and different club owners is, and it comes up all the time. He could be the funniest guy in the world. If he's an asshole to work with, I'm going to work with him. And is this what's happened to Nick Aldis? Is he become jealous that all of these other players in NWA have gone on to most likely much bigger contracts with WWE and AEW than he currently has, or at this point, God knows, maybe could even get himself at this point. I don't know.
Well, I've been a fan of Nick Aldis since he was in TNA, where he was Magnus, yeah. I think his character, and I believe there's always been talk about him going to WWE anyways, even when he was with TNA, because he seems to fit that mold that a Triple H would like, right? But I think he's too old. He's too old to play that NXT game, so he needs to go main roster. And I don't know if the casual WWE fan would know him like they did, say, AJ Styles, right? Where there's enough name recognition behind him at this point. Now, the wrestling fan would know him, across the board because, not only what, mostly like All In, right? Because of the fact that like that match with Cody was a really great fucking build for both of those guys. And the match itself was very good. I think he would do well in either AEW or WWE, but he needs to be realistic. He's not winning a title in AEW because they don't seem to want to put titles past a certain point on guys, right? Like he's not a TNT champion. Like that's, I think, below where he would be. I think if he challenged Joe for the ROH TV title, that'd be one thing. But I don't think, he might be a fun one for like Claudio, because I don't think that match has ever happened. Him and Claudio would be a fun match, I think, for a lot of people to see. But him being the ace or whatever his new thing is, as far as moniker goes, the ace of pro wrestling or something like that. But like
stealing my shit.
Maybe I don't know if he goes by the big ace of pro wrestling. But I don't know. I think he's burnt out by NWA because he did help basically save it, build it back up to where it was or is. And yeah, JR, I think you're right. You see Starks go someplace else. You see a lot of these guys getting big money going either back to WWE or, LA Knight or Eli Drake was also part of Impact, and also I think maybe he's just looking for some money. And it sounds like Mickie James might even be in the Royal Rumble again this year. So there's maybe something left in her tank to go back to WWE and make maybe one last run. And it sounds like the schedule is a little bit lighter right now for WWE still. It's not like the 300 fucking days or so a year, but so maybe that's something they want to explore, is just, being.
I can't imagine it being like, I don't think the NWA would be more.
No, but they were just, studio shows for them, or going back and forth between Atlanta and Nashville for some stuff too. So, and St. Louis, I suppose, too.
Yeah. Well, good luck to Nick Aldis wherever he lands, and NWA bringing power back this year on Tuesdays on YouTube.
Nice.
And I will go back, man. The pandemic was so bad. They really had something going.
Mm-hmm.
Before that pandemic. Tom, did you watch Power before pandemic?
Yeah, I watched it pretty consistently. Not all the time, just because when you have so many options for wrestling, it's hard to watch everything.
I'll be honest with you. It was my go-to on was Tuesday nights at 6:30. It was my go-to. I loved watching it, and as I mentioned, it was absolutely. And as a WCW guy, I think you probably felt this. It felt so much to me like those Georgia Championship, Florida Championship shows.
Yep.
And I just loved it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely, man.
And the thing that really kind of turned me away, it was two things. One, when they tried to have the additional content with these guys that wasn't wrestling content, and they weren't good at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't entertaining in the least. And there were plenty of guys that, and Aldis was one of them. His was, what's all this? You know, and they each had a separate show for every day. And then aside from, so, okay, I didn't watch it because I'm sorry, it wasn't worth watching. Not one of them was worth watching. And then when they came back, because and this is just my mind, my perspective, my conjecture, they had driven away everybody with that crap content to the point where they did come back and start doing shows again. There was nobody to watch it. And so they couldn't go, and they couldn't have these people who were supporting them with, you know, some of them were advertising. And you know, and if they were making money on YouTube because they had, you know, thousands of people viewing, those people weren't there anymore. So they weren't making any money. So then they went to charge, you know, to watch it. And I'm sorry, they didn't have the stars. Starks was gone. You know, Thunder Rosa was gone. A lot of those people were gone. And in essence, you're saying, hey, we had this great show, and a lot of the folks are not here anymore. It's like if you were to say, hey, you love Friends, right? Rachel and, you know, two of the other ones are gone, but we'd like to have you pay for it. Fuck you. I don't want to. So anyway, that's a nice little rant. I'm sorry. But that's my opinion.
And you're okay to have that opinion. I mean, as long and rambling as it might have been, it was still your opinion.
Oh,
I had to. I fucking had to,
I know,
JR.
I know
sorry.
you did. You know what? We started this the first show of the first year, and you start by fucking me over right away.
Hey, man,
Needling me from day one.
Why not?
Yeah.
Dude, so I'm looking through this card of Wrestle Kingdom for tomorrow, and I'm actually fucking sad I gotta work. So I might have to buy this on as a replay. But I mean, you have the Antonio Inoki Memorial Match, the 6-man tag, Yuji Nagata, Satoshi Kojima, and Toji Makabe versus Tatsumi Fujinami, Minoru Suzuki, and Tiger Mask. Probably fucking the 8th edition of Tiger Mask or some shit like that, man. Like, that's fucking 6 legends of fucking Japan wrestling right there, man. That's fucking huge.
Yeah.
it's too bad it's on a Wednesday.
Well, I mean, yeah, they just go with January 4th, but like, you got the light heavyweight tag championship on the line, TJP, and this guy I've never heard of, Francisco Akira versus Leo Rush, everybody, and Yo from Show and Yo, or Yo and Show. So that's but also I did not know this, so this is actually news to me. So I might be breaking news here, but there is actually an IWGP Women's Championship out there. I did not know this, so this is news to me, but there will be a women's match for sure at Wrestle Kingdom between Kairi Sane, and Tam, excuse me. I just like saying my own name. I just like saying my own name. Sorry. Tam Nakano. So that should be fun.
Bull Nakano's back.
But here's I think where you see FTR lose the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championship, because I think they're going back to WWE myself, because I don't think they lose that ROH title to the Briscoes. I think they would have won the AEW Championship if they weren't thinking about going back. I think they probably would end up winning the NJPW Strong Tag Championships too, which I thought for sure. Why didn't they ever have a dual match with Aussie Open for those titles? If Aussie Open got a challenge for the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Championships, but They're probably going to lose to Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi, which they shouldn't, but they probably will because, again, I think the rumors are true. They're going to go back WWE. They're NXT Triple H guys, man. They have to.
Ooh,
Unless
you're talking who?
FTR.
Oh, yeah.
Unless,
Come on, Ace.
Sorry, I'm reading shit about Sasha Banks and
yeah. So Tom,
Yeah, and that's why I'm talking about Wrestle Kingdom, man.
Tom, I will say this: you were right, unless the rumors that Triple H is working on ways to shut AEW out, and you know, and I wouldn't put that past him because he's a pretty clever guy. He's way smarter and more adaptable than Vince ever was.
Mm-hmm.
So there is the possibility that they would win and still go to WWE.
Well, I mean, that's another thing that we're looking at with Wrestle Kingdom right now, because you have Carl Anderson will make an appearance tomorrow to defend finally the never open weight championship against Tama Tonga. So, I mean, and it's not a guarantee that Tama wins. I mean, they have the record on the page I'm at here, which I believe is NJPW1972.com. But Carl Anderson is 2-0 against Tama Tonga all time. Of course, two OGs of the Bullet Club right here. Tama no longer part of Bullet Club, getting kicked out about a year ago now. But Carl Anderson coming back over, like I mentioned earlier. We did see Shinsuke Nakamura on the New Year's show with Pro Wrestling Noah. So apparently WWE's all about getting through that forbidden door themselves, sending some talent over to Japan. Zack Sabre Jr. is going to take on Ren Narita, who I don't know very much of. And then a couple other six-mans. Let's see. Taji Ishimori will be in a four-way match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship with Hiromu Takahashi, El Desperado, and Master Wato. But the big matches, if you will, Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay for the USA or the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship. That should be a good match. That build has been not as good as it should be. You had the promo where Kenny Omega interrupted Ospreay after a match. And, man, Omega, I think he wants to go back to Japan, at least to show off the fact that he can speak Japanese better than fucking almost every interpreter I've ever fucking heard. And then Will Ospreay still thinking he's the man. I think this guy really should talk less at this point, man, because his Suffolk accent or whatever is so fucking horrifying, man. Like, where the fuck he's from, man. It's become so over the top with this brev shit. Like, he's hard to fucking listen to, man. He should just wrestle more and talk way fucking less.
Oh, wait. So is Wrestle Kingdom on at like 3-4 in the morning, like in hours?
Yeah.
Like it's countdown time.
Yeah. So we might be doing the last American preview of Wrestle Kingdom, man. Let's get into it.
It'll be interesting to see, since they're being extremely tight-lipped of what Sasha's doing, yet Bailey's going out there to support her. Naomi's out there. Like, it's weird. Like, you got to think she's going to end up in some sort of fucking match somehow, and then everybody thinks she's going to just join AEW, which, go for it. Probably just.
Well, that's why I'm thinking she might be there to interrupt the Kyrie versus Tam Nakano match. Because you might be trying to challenge it and be the second ever IWGPA Women's Champion. So, and the headlining match, by the way, is Kazuchika Okada challenging Jay White for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, which is still the ugliest fucking title since the Divas Championship, the butterfly belt. It's like a mix between that stupid fucking title and Cody Rhodes' Nightmare Family logo.
They're saying he's not coming back at the Rumble, by the way. He's going to come back a different way. So,
well, you know what, though?
But they also have said that they are probably going to split the titles off Roman.
Yeah.
possibly pull one off before Mania.
Well, when you think about it, it makes sense. It's still the best story that they have, and it's still so well done. And Sammy is, I don't know how it. I mean, I think it was, who was it? Sports Illustrated called Seth Rollins Wrestler of the Year, and I'm like,
fucking bullshit.
I'm like, how do you? I mean, you're not looking at everything clearly, in my mind, because to me, the Wrestler of the Year is goddamn Sami Zayn. And when you look at everything that he does, right? And he is the one that has made this entire almost year long now fucking storyline just absolutely pop and come to life.
And we already know he still has to make it run to April.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
yeah.
Well, and Dan's right. That's all money right there. I mean, because the SI list is always so WWE focused. I mean, I think, and it's not like it's undeserved. Bianca Belair being on that list is correct, but I don't think there's any other women that appear on that list. Maybe Becky Lynch was like 9 or 10 or whatever, but like, I don't know. There's other wrestling going on, and I mean, they may not care about like MLW or whatever, or they clearly don't care about NWA or anything like that. It seems like it's pretty heavy towards having half your list WWE, having a couple guys from AEW, and then a couple guys from New Japan. Like, I don't think they care anything about having in All Japan or Noah or anything like that.
No, none of that matters to them.
It's fine. And I get it, not caring about what happens in Impact. It's not the end of the world and stuff like that, but they're, I don't think Sami Zayn was even on the list, but I don't know if he was be number one. I think as far as like draws,
you said,
I think
those three you mentioned, I'm sure are all three that have like some sort of thing deal with SI. You know what I mean? As far as like they're paying to get their shit in there. Otherwise,
I know SI used to be part of.
Like they're not going to just cover it.
And I know SI used to be part of like Turner Media, so
yeah.
And I don't think that's the case anymore. I think that was sold off on the last CNN split or whatever.
How about we got Charlotte back and she just takes the title right off of Rousey?
You guys talk about that. I'll be right back.
Oh my God, it might be the last thing we talk about, Tom. Yeah, I just, I'll put it to you this way. I was happy that. What did he do? Does he have some kind of?
He's got sound effects, but we could just do that.
It only happens when we talk. Oh, there we go.
No, he's got birds chirping on that.
Oh, he's
got the hotkeys on the roadcast over there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I don't know, man. I was happy that Charlotte came back.
I don't like no rhyme and reason shit. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm with
back
you.
And have it be some sort of continuation of what she did when she left. You want to make her face, then find a way to do it, but don't just have her come back, beat Rousey, and then leave through the crowd, and all of a sudden we're supposed to just she's a baby face. And don't get me wrong, I'm glad she's back. It's going to add something to that division. Charlotte is one of the best.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, I don't know. That was just another. But again, too, like you can't go into much long-term stuff, and really, this is all just setting the pieces for what's going to come in these upcoming months, I guess. So,
yeah, it's I don't know, man. I was happy she came back. I was happy she challenged her, and I would have been happy had Ronda just said no and left, which she wanted to do. And Shayna tried to get her to do, and then yet she's like, I just had a match where I defended the belt. Sure, I'll fight you for the title. What the fuck? Nobody does that. Nobody does that.
Baddest woman on the planet does. What do you so also tomorrow night on Dynamite is the debut of the new Dynamite. It's a new era.
The new format.
AEW and Dynamite. New format.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. is it a little too soon for a brand new company to be re-imaging?
Well, look, I think the best way I can put it is, if you put a ribbon and lipstick on a pig, it is still a pig. And I say that in this regard. They have so many things that they should be worried about and interested in changing now rather than the image.
Yeah. That's my point with them too. Is there's so much more that you could be doing other than updating the production level and a new set. That's the least of your worries. Your worries is you have a locker room in shambles. You have a roster that is so deep you haven't figured out how to use half of them.
Yeah.
And you're just wasting people's talents at this point. You really like, you have so much talent, Sign, that you're not using. Stop bringing in some of these no names for the dark tapings. Use them there. At least then they're getting in the ring. Like you got people who are getting no use, at all. I don't know. I just it's. Because when we always talked about AEW, this was the thing we always said. Even when they're 3-4 years in, they're still the newborn. You know what I mean? As a company and as a product, I want to see what they're at 5 years, and then I want to see what they're at like 10 years. 5 years, yeah, that's where you're kind of like you should have your footing down. But I don't know. It feels weird that this is just this whole new repackaging and blah. Where it's like, well, no, I think what your real issue is, you got a boss who doesn't know how to fucking keep things contained.
Here's the deal. You have, and I've said this before when we're talking about this. In Tony Khan, my opinion is you have a guy that wants to be pals because he's a fanboy. He wants to be pals with everybody, and he doesn't want to make anybody mad, but yet he doesn't really know how to do what should be done because he was never in the fucking business. I say that because I was never in the business. I mean, when we talk about Madhouse and APW and IPW, I'm happy that they allow me to be there because I know absolutely nothing about the business other than from the fan side of it, right? And for Tony Khan, simply because he's got all this money to say, hey, I'm going to do this and this, I fucking miss Miro, God damn it. I miss him.
Yeah, it's a waste.
And the House of Black, what the fuck are they doing with these guys? I'm glad that they're back, but let them fucking do something, And
let them create.
It's just, in the things that have happened, and then to have fucking Darby Allin come back at Samoa Joe, they already had that fucking match. I don't understand the mentality of what the fuck they're doing. I don't get it.
No.
And the whole thing with Regal, you read Regal's tweets. He was very happy. Thank you. I was very happy to be there. None of the bullshit that everybody said. He says, no, everybody was perfectly lovely to me. It was great to be there. And now he's going to leave. And maybe part of the reason he's going to leave is because he didn't like the way it was run. Aside from the fact that his son is going to be over there and he had a Triple H clause, but maybe part of it is because he, knowing the business as he does for so goddamn long, looks at Tony Khan and goes, man, you were a fucking rube.
A fucking rube.
Well, I mean, Billy Gunn's still there, but he also said it too, that it's the Wild Wild West. There's no one running that. Like, no one there to be like, hey, stop.
It's almost like if you're a comedy fan and you know the history of Saturday Night Live, you know that every one of those people that's on Saturday Night Live comes up with shit that they want to get on the show, and then they go and they got to pitch it. And I mean, to me, it seems like that's what's happening at AEW. And Tony Khan's just going, oh yeah, I like that and that and that and that. And you can't do a wrestling show that way. There's no continuity to it.
Yeah, not long-term booking.
We were talking, Tommy, about how it's kind of hilarious that they're pumping up Dynamite tomorrow as the new era of AEW, the new era of Dynamite, brand new.
Well, that's
set,
why I brought my
brand new
phone with
book.
me so I could listen in and make sure I didn't fall behind on you guys.
Oh,
And I'm
okay.
sorry about hitting the cricket button, but I felt like that was a mistake, but it kind of worked out based on the fact that I wasn't here. So it was much more boring
Fucking mute
without
him
me
again.
here.
Mute him again.
Yeah.
Fair enough. No, but so just to touch back real quick on that Charlotte point, yes, that was stupid. That's dumb. It's happened before. I think fucking it was Yokozuna at WrestleMania, right, where he beat Bret Hart, and then Hulk Hogan comes out, so like, oh sure, I'll fucking challenge you for the title. So it's the man, it's the guy being put over for no fucking reason. I mean, that's clear. I mean, I like Charlotte. She's very capable, obviously. She's easy on the eyes, but it's also like that's a weird way of fucking doing it. You could have a build to an actual, to the fucking WrestleMania or Royal Rumble and stuff, man. Like, have a fucking build that's proper.
Plus, they did that with Becky and Bianca already.
Yep.
Yeah. So again, it doesn't make fucking sense in that respect. And then to touch base on the AEW stuff, I think the rebranding is to help separate. Because I think they're going to stop doing the ROH stuff. I think they might have found a contract or somebody to work with on production for that. And I think the way the rebranding started to look last week when I was watching AEW, it looks like it's going to be like almost a SmackDown kind of rebranding where it's, the solid lines and I think they're going to probably change the setup a little bit as far as not having the two entrances anymore.
They've already said that. They said it's a completely new set.
Yeah.
Like
I
nothing
hope it's
we've
like
seen
Raw
before.
Underground.
Well, personally, I really hope that they actually bring the commentators down ringside because I think you definitely see it suffers when JR is on there. If he's on there, because I think he can't really do the monitor stuff. He needs to like see the action and then, get the replays on the monitor and stuff like that as he's watching it. So
here's the thing. The problem is that JR and Tony, and Taz to a degree are not fast enough to get out of the fucking way when they start throwing chairs and shit around. I mean, if I'm 100%, you remember JR, what, he break his leg or whatever the fuck at New Japan when he was doing that shit? They're just, and they do so much shit outside the ring that it's dangerous for them. And I honestly think that's the reason that they put them way the fuck up there.
I suppose you're right too, because with all the barricade fucking tosses they do, and that's what broke his leg was fucking Jay White threw somebody into right in front of the commentary table, and it ran the rails into the booth, and Josh Barnett was going to kick the shit out of him, which by the way, he would definitely fucking kick the shit out of Jay White.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and not to touch, not to change subjects real quick, but Jay White is basically a fucking Kenny Omega ripoff, and everybody needs to fucking see it for what it is. It's a bunch of shit. The guy's talented, but it's all just fucking over the top Kenny Omega. So, you're probably right on that. Personally, I just like to have commentary down there because when you go through the timekeeper's table, it doesn't have the same effects as going through the announcer's table. But maybe that's just me.
No,
as a guy who's done commentary before, being that far away, like what the fuck, man? Put me ringside, goddammit.
I'm not disputing what you're saying. I'm just saying, maybe they could just throw them into a big vat of orange juice again.
Yes.
Anyway,
the
we were
mimosa
talking
match.
about. I don't want to say these guys to everybody out there. We were going to have a short show tonight because we don't have a guest, and Ace and I are both kind of tired. And I was off from my day job for 10 days, and today was gigantic shit show for numerous reasons, including the weather. But I do want to do one thing real quick, and those of you that are in the chat, please hop in too. I want to know if you guys, not necessarily resolutions, but is there anything that you feel like if you spoke it out in public and a goal that you maybe have or something like that, do you feel like, or just whatever it is, do you feel like if you set it out in public, it might help you achieve it?
No.
I'll start. Well, this is the third day of the year, and so far, I have worked out every day of the year. I have not touched alcohol since the 31st, which I know that's only 3 days, but when you're used to the top shelf booze and liquor, I mean, it's kind of a big deal. So I'm at least going to go the first week without drinking any of that stuff. So I'm literally just drinking water tonight, which is probably why I'm a little slow right now. I don't have that fucking quick wit of the booze like I would in roasting these two fucking idiots. But outside of that, nah, man, just trying to exercise, get healthy again, or healthy, period. It's been a long time since I was healthy. So, there's that. And then, just keep rolling with you guys, trying to make this fucking better.
Let's be honest. I've seen you brush your teeth with alcohol.
No, you haven't.
Yeah.
Nope. No, you haven't. Don't fucking lie to these people. No, not dry January. How dare you, Dan? No, it's just a dry first week.
Just a week to prove he's not an actual.
He's trying to flush his gizzard out. Yeah. See, Tim, but he won't pull the Tim Nella top shelf. He'll pull his own half-ass top shelf, which is what it is.
Well, what's the Tim Nella top shelf? Is Tim
Nella,
are you done drinking now?
Fucking up at like 4 a.m.
You follow the fucking Tim Nella workout, and you will be top shelf.
Well, I tell you what, man, like the amount that I sweated in the last fucking 3 days. And that's again, I got a workout in after work today after already being out shoveling and doing a whole bunch of fucking other manual labor and stuff like that. So I added to what I was already doing and then, put in like an hour on the first and like an hour 15 yesterday. So like, I'm doing my best. All right, guys. Like, I mean, it's probably not Tim Nella top shelf, but like it's top shelf, Tom Schills from Top Shelf. Okay. Like it's still, it's going to be better. It's going to be like Bryce Jordan does, it's going to be way up here eventually. But like right now we're about right here. Sorry, JR. Bryce Jordan, the golden god.
No reason to be sorry. No reason to be sorry. So
I just had to name drop there.
I will say this. I didn't realize that my iPhone had this health business on here that kept track of my steps. And so I'm like, holy shnikes. I mean, and it's pretty cool. And since I've got this job, I've been walking a lot more, and I know you guys can't tell, but I have lost at least 10 pounds just from doing this. And that was,
clap, damn it. Come on, Ace. Clap.
You don't need to. And it's like I tell people this,
my left hand's still like all freaking sore.
It's a little bit hurt. It's a little bit.
Oh, where's the cover up? Yeah, we gotta see this before we get out of here. I'm sorry. Go ahead, JR.
But anyway, so I am like, for example, today, 4,704 steps. Boy, fuck, that's pretty good for an old man. So my goal is I want to do 5,000 a day, but I'm not. I mean, and I'm going to have to go above and beyond because, that's just, that's from the work. And so I'll have to make sure that I do above and beyond. But 5,000 is my goal to do steps a day, 5,000 a day. And I think that'll be pretty good. So
nice. Good for you.
But I didn't know. I mean, it's like something that I can do and something that I knew I could, I didn't realize I could keep track of. So, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have any resolutions. I just want to get better at golf.
Well, that's not that's a resolution. You resolve that you're going to try to get better at golf.
Break 90 or actually get a hole in one this time.
Hole in one is not what it's cut out to be.
Yeah, but when you're like 4 feet away, it's kind of a bitch. And yeah, no, it would be for me because I actually really like golfing, so it would be a huge.
Well, I have a hole.
I know you got one, but you weren't into it. You just wouldn't play it. And
I wasn't. I was at the time.
Were you?
I used to go quite a bit, and in fact, I still have my father's woods that are like real wood.
Mhm.
And like they're Gene Sarazen's. You can look him up if you don't know who Gene Sarazen. He was a pro golfer back in the 60s, I suppose. And there you go, baby. I'll try to be health top shelf, but I got a long way to go. I think I'll hit the grave before I get back into perfect health. I think that balance is tilted a little one way, but I mean, I can still make my way. But anyway, these golf, I used to golf a lot, and I used to be pretty good. My problem was I could drive like crazy and putt like crazy. The middle game was always the toughest, as everybody says. But yeah, got a hole in one and then got a 15 because I was overly excited about it.
That's hilarious.
So it kind of fucked up the score.
I've been told you stop at 10.
No,
That's what I've been told.
No, a gentleman plays the fucking hole out.
Hey, I don't disagree with you, but also I've been told to keep the game going, the round of golf going. You just stop at 10. But
Yeah, no, that's almost happened once before, Dan. Yeah, that would suck.
so actually,
The one that
there was
almost went in. I was with a foursome though, and it just didn't.
So yeah, Ace, I'm in your boat. I've come close twice.
Yep.
The first time, a little par 9 or par 3, 9-hole up in Elk River, Pinewood. At one point owned by Hall of Famer Jerry Krause of the Vikings. Now I think the city is running into the ground, but anyhow, missed that one by about, I think it skipped past about 2 inches to the right, and then on a hole-in-one challenge at a fundraiser for I think it was the Fellowship of Christian Athletes at Stout. I was out there playing it, and it was so cold. There was still snow on the golf course. That's how early we had played it. And everybody was only playing 9 because the back 9 was in absolute disarray, except for this one par 3 where you're up on a hill and you're shooting down and everybody's coming up short. And I put this thing, literally, it looked like it was going to bounce and just roll perfectly right into the hole. And then it bounced and then stopped. Like it actually divoted on the third one for some odd reason. It divoted into the fucking green and just didn't do nothing. I'm like, come on, what are we doing? But so yeah, we all have those kind of stories, and you know what, Ace, I hope you do get that hole in one this year. I hope you do get that big ace for Big Ace.
So I'm curious though. Any of you guys that are in the chat, do you have anything like that? You're like, I'm just curious. I know a lot of you guys have been with us for a long time, and if there's anything that we can do to help you, achieve anything, I think to myself, I was thinking about this the other day. I would love to be able to, and I got to figure out how to do another trivia contest on StreamYard versus OBS, because OBS is a gigantic nightmare to us. Although when we did that thing on Twitch, we could use that over. Anyway, the point is, I would love to be able to do some trivia contests where we give away tickets to wrestling shows where people can come and just hang out with us and watch the show. It might not mean anything to them, but it's a little something. And it could be when WWE or AEW comes back to town, or it could be First, or it could be Absolute or Madhouse or IPW or anything. It could be the next comedy show that Tom or I do. It could be anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would definitely be up for something like that.
They just made 10 days worth of announcements for Hall of Fame weekend.
Yeah. By the way, you should go to Hall of Fame. Tim wants to take his first wrestling bump this year. That's freaking fantastic. Dude, here's the thing, Tim, man, I know with your personality and your athletic ability, you can, if you want to do it, man, you're going to do it. I know that because I also know your drive. So and to me, that'd be exciting to watch you not only take a bump, but actually have a match with somebody.
You know, I took a bump before. It was not.
Yeah, but you fell in a parking lot, and that doesn't count.
Drugs?
First of all, don't talk to me like that. You're a child. Fuck you. Second of all, no. When this title over here, Atlas of Comedy, was going on when we were at Gastoff in Northeast Minneapolis, we had a stepladder match where basically it was a roast battle on literally two-step ladders, me and Mike Lester, and I technically won. I mean, I actually out-joked Mike Lester, which will be the only fucking time that's ever happened, ever. And then I was attacked after my championship win by Shannon Paul. She kicked me off the fucking stool, and I fell right backwards. And then she hit me with the title, and I started bleeding all over the fucking place. So I took my bumps, man. I've done the thing.
So she whopped you hard way, huh?
Yeah. And then I technically regained my title the next month. And then Tiffany Norton hit me in the fucking head with a stapler. So,
well, yeah, now this
Curtis
is
versus
interesting, Curtis. I hope you come back next week and talk to us about the new set. That's exciting.
Definitely want to hear all about it.
I hope the only changes they come from the other side, like so the camera is over here and the ramp is normally up there.
Peeling baby face side of the tunnel.
No,
that's it.
No, like literally, like instead of like where the hard camera's here and like normally the ramp's over to the left, they just literally go, you know what? The ramp's over here now. They're coming down from the right. Isn't that fucking crazy? It's fucking crazy, guys.
I got this great idea.
Well, it's like it's an old WWE guy that's doing the production, right? But it's just a Titantron. It's the old fucking Titantron.
I like that old like the original Raw Titantron where you just come out and you have like the one curtain, not these fucking show things. You just have the video playing right above it. I really wish Paul White never fucking broke that thing, man. God, what an ass.
Well, I'll tell you what. I know we said we were going to do a little bit of a shorter show, and we're all just exhausted. We should probably start planning that every year around this time. We just take a week off. I don't think we need to go week after the holidays. But,
I don't know, man. I mean, again, we can always preview Wrestle Kingdom, man. We'll talk about Japan like crazy for that first fucking show of the year, dude. Because again, Shinsuke was back in Japan. He took on Great Muta. Come on, dude. That's an all-timer.
It is. Next week, though,
I should stop talking.
We're trying to get to the guests for next week.
Who do we got next week?
Next week is Arjun Singh. He's been on AEW. I can't remember. Oh, dude, I hope Arjun beats the fuck out of you.
I do too.
I really hope he beats the living shit out of you. I'm gonna ask him personally to do that. Arjun Singh.
Good fucking luck.
You've seen him on Dark. I can't remember if he's been on WWE or not. I feel like he maybe has. He's trained with Kali. He's friends with Jinder, and he is just one hell of a talent. You're going to see a lot more of him going forward.
Not only is he great talent, he's a pretty tremendous human being too. From our experience with him.
And you guys should really go check out the Madhouse show, Mouse's little show of horrors, where he took on Ethan Everhart. It was a great matchup. I do want to say one thing before we get out of here, though, too, because we had a lot of friends down in Iowa and in Minnesota and across the Midwest. Jason Strife passed away last week, so if you guys aren't familiar with him, he also performed as Yellow Dog, which is what I actually knew him from and saw him wrestle as. I didn't really see him as Jason Strife ever, but our prayers and thoughts go out to his friends and family. That's a huge loss for the community, especially here in the Midwest. So I know that's a bummer way of ending the year there and then starting this year. But, just giving the shout outs where we can here in the Midwest. And so that's a big loss.
And I'm not sure if it's still up or not, but if you look hard enough, you'll be able to pretty easily find it if it is still up. But there was a GoFundMe going around for him and his funeral expenses and stuff. So
before we leave too, I don't know if you guys caught this or if anybody in the chat caught it. So the cameraman that Bray Wyatt gave the mandible claw to was none other than JT Energy.
Yeah.
Which, if you didn't see that, that's kind of cool for him.
That's right.
He not only got to, I mean, obviously it's not wrestling, but he was in on a pretty big chunk of what's going on with Bray Wyatt. So that's pretty cool.
And he's also had some dark matches too. So he's
Yeah.
kind of gotten to do both. We've seen them both. Seen a lot of people, going through some of this stuff right now. We just saw Billy Starks get on AEW Dark just recently. So,
so do you think? So do you think that was a tryout for her, or do you think she's signed with them?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if she's signed with them. All I know is she's 18. She turned 18 like a couple weeks ago, I guess.
Yeah.
You've got to think there's been at least 2 contracts sent to her, or 2 talks.
Yeah.
I would find it very crazy if the 2 bigger promotions don't both have interest in her.
Yeah, I mean,
because I think she gets so many people she's worked with are in AEW, so you have that instant like built in that she's going to do good over there with that roster.
Yeah,
but I also think she would also be. You put her through the Performance Center with those guys over there, and then onto the.
Yeah,
I mean,
I just feel we were so fortunate to get her before, man, it was just so great to have her on with us, and it's exciting for me to think that we get these people on here, and this has always been our goal, even before Tom was with us, to. Right, Ace, that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to kind of get involved with the indie talent, and hopefully some of them might remember us as they move up the ladder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did reach out to her. She's very nice and responded back and stuff. So hopefully down the line we could see Billy come back for a minute. But yeah, man, I'm exhausted, boys.
Yep. Other than that, you guys, thank you so much. We hope you're all enjoying the first few days of the new year. You got anything going on this week, Tom?
Not this week. I have some bad news for you both, though. I will not be able to be in attendance at the Goonies show on the 21st, where you were headlining like we were planning.
Yeah.
I guess I had an obligation with the Steel Toe show. They have their quarterly show up in Sartell that night, so I will be up there. I think I'm supposed to be headlining it. I don't know. Fuck it.
As always, Tom. And I always think this, and I think this to everybody. If you get booked for something else, Jesus God, go do it.
Oh, I know, but it was gonna be cool to hang out with Ace and Tim Nellis said he was gonna stop in, and then you and some of your old radio friends and. I mean, hell, I was even trying to get the boys up there to, come say hi and watch a show of yours and see what the fuck might happen.
They could come and throw shit at me. Well, Bryce, I think Shanky likes me deep down, but I don't think Bryce likes me at all.
I got a nice air mattress for any of the boys that ever have to come through town.
Oh, that'd be nice.
There you go.
And all then when Bryce is here, JR, you come down, we get that revenge.
Yeah, I'm going to bring some people. Anyway, myself, I'm helping David Harris out at a corporate in Spooner, Wisconsin on Saturday. It's not open to the public, but I like to brag, and because it's about all I can do at this age.
Fuck yeah, JR.
But, shit, man. What am I gonna do? I go stop in the Best Buy stores during the day, and then I come home and I'm like, fuck, I want to go to bed. And then on the weekend, I'm like, I can finally relax, and then I make these stupid fucking commitments to go and do shows, and I'm like, the fuck am I doing?
Well, anyway. you can wake up late on that 21st for sure. You're going to be already there in the hotel, right? You're going to take up.
I'm going to have to. So here's my plan. I'm going to take a half a day on the 20th, so I can drive down and work at the Best Buy in Rochester, and then just stay down there.
There you go.
I'm a thinker. Dude. I'm a thinker,
That's
y'all.
the way. That's the way.
Anyway. All right, you guys. Here we go. Brian Danielson and a sign that says, Jade, will you marry me? Ooh, shit. Yeah, we'll look for you.
Oh, yeah.
As long as you don't put anything stupid on there, like our logo and the time that our show is on, they'll let you put your sign up.
Yeah,
I think our logo would have been fine, but
I think if it was just a sign that just said 2 count without the actual time, we would have been all right.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, well, you
Maybe.
live and learn. The next time I'm sitting in the second row, I'll know better.
There it is.
Hopefully. All right, guys. This has been a lot of fun.
Take care. Bye-bye. We'll see you next week with Arjun Singh.
Yeah.